Hey, gang, and welcome to yet another edition of Terror Time Tea. And yes, good Lord, I think I had some chili or something on my lip. Sorry about that. Uh, I was eating my lunch from Chili's a little bit earlier, and I guess I was a little messy with the chili, trying to hurry up and get it eaten before I started with this. So, yes, I had to reschedule this 2 or 3 times because I kept getting behind. Um, I was trying to prepare for Friday Foolish, which will be at 1 p.m. Eastern Time today. Hopefully, I won't have to schedule it any later because Steve wants to get groceries today. So we'll have to be doing that at around 3 p.m. Eastern Time today, which means me and Candace will be on a 2 hour time frame for Friday Foolish. We are getting away from the regularly scheduled program today for Friday Foolish. Just a little heads up for those of you in Terror Time Tea today. Due to the untimely passing of Miss Shelley Duvall, we will be celebrating Shelley's life and career on Friday Foolish at 1 p.m. Eastern Time today. And just, it's okay to be sad about this. It is definitely okay to be sad. But the way I'm going to approach this week's Friday Foolish is for this to be a celebration. So I'm going to try to keep it up as upbeat as possible. Um, that doesn't mean that people can't be sad, that they can't be bummed out. In fact, I was bummed out yesterday when I heard the news. Okay, so just letting you know, a little heads up on that. Also, as many of you know, I have decided to make things a little more streamlined, a little more easier on me, because doing this many live streams a week it's taxing. I enjoy doing them, but it is very, very taxing. And sometimes I run out of time, just like having to reschedule this one 3 times. So, as many of you know, I have decided that when I return to doing the movie munchies after a few weeks, hold on, that means my tea is ready. Let me take myself out of the stream real quickly. I will be right back. Okay, I am back with my watermelon tea today. Gonna take another sip of it while it is nice and hot, because usually my tea gets kind of lukewarm. Another reason for wanting to do what I'm going to explain here in a minute. So, I had ultimately decided, with Steve's help, to transition the movie Munchies to from a live stream to only pre-recorded. And I think that that is going to be the best course of action moving forward when I go back to those. Okay, so the next part of that equation is I have decided on the same with the Terror Time teas, only I'm not going to take a break for a few months. Simply, the next Terror Time tea, which will be next Friday, will be pre-recorded, which means I may pre-record it the night before and premiere it at 11:30, 11:45 a.m. on Friday, which means it won't be live. You won't be, commenting, or you won't be able to watch me as I'm doing it. But I think for the purposes of me doing two shows on Friday, I think this is best course of action because the Friday Foolish is really the one that needs to be alive. That one needs to have me and Candace on there to interact with you folks. So I just wanted to put that out there. And before we get to the movies, I had a couple of deliveries come in today, one of which was a total surprise. It was something that Steve got me, which I'm going to wait till last to show that one. I'll show the one that I knew that I was getting in, but I had forgotten about it and didn't know it was coming in today this quickly. I got me some new tennis shoes, some new high tops that are probably going to be worn primarily at horror conventions. And these are Return of the Living Dead high tops. It's got Tarman. It says More Brains on one side. It says Return of the Living Dead, and it's got some of the dead there. Uh, and that both shoes, of course, are like this. Nothing really different on the other shoe, right? I loved it because it had Tarman on there. Tarman is one of my favorite of the dead on Return of the Living Dead. So I wanted to show those. And the next thing is something that Steve got me, and it totally took me by surprise because we had talked about this last weekend, and I didn't even know they had them. And Steve said, yeah, and he looked on their site, and of course, they were out of stock. But he found this little gem at Amazon, and it came in today, and he surprised me with a David Wooderson, Matthew McConaughey's character from Dazed and Confused. This is a movie Maniac series. I said, really? He said, yeah, because McFarlane Toys put it out. So hopefully you guys can see that. Looks almost exactly like Matthew McConaughey's character of Wooderson in the movie. So I'm absolutely loving this. I'm planning on keeping this in the box. I love me some Matthew McConaughey, so I just wanted to show that off real quick. All right, so now to get to the movies. I said that we were going to be talking about Luther the Geek and a Pete Walker slasher from the UK called Schizo. This is part of the Pete Walker collection. So let's just kick this off with Luther the Geek. Now, Luther the Geek, I'll just be totally honest with you guys and gals, it's not going to be for everybody. Yeah, it's a wacky, madcap little horror film, low budget. Um, Let me see if I was correct on. Carlton J. Albright directed this, who was responsible for The Children. The movie where the kids' school bus goes through the toxic waste cloud, and the kids come out wanting to hug their parents, and when they do, they basically fry them with electricity, and they have black fingernails. But for some reason, I'm thinking Carlton J. Albright didn't direct that one, but I could be wrong. Steve may have to remind me. So maybe he did maybe he did direct The Children, but he also directed this one as well. And I like The Children, or in fact, I love The Children. I also love Luther the Geek as well. Um, Luther the Geek might be a little more out there than The Children, um, but let's give a little backstory on Luther the Geek, shall we? So, when Luther was a little boy, he discovered that there was something different about him because he liked the taste of blood. Now, the way he discovered this is he went to see a sideshow geek who would bite the heads off of chickens. And there were a bunch of big burly guys in there, and they end up knocking Luther to the ground, and it knocks his front teeth out. And we zoom in on Luther as a young boy, and he touches his hand to his mouth and tastes the blood and discovers that, yeah, he enjoys that, right? So as Luther grows up, he takes to liking the taste of human blood more and more and more. And his teeth have been replaced with metal teeth. And these metal teeth really, really can chew through skin. So Luther goes crazy and starts biting the necks off of people, or biting their throats out and drinking their blood. So he gets sent to an asylum, needless to say. And then he, sometime later, as is traditional in horror films, he breaks out of the asylum and starts his neck evisceration all over again. So he makes his way to a kind of deserted farmhouse. He gets in this woman's car while she's in the grocery store, and he hides in the back seat. I know, not real original. And then he attacks her, keeps her hostage in the house. He's got her tied to the bed. He's got a gag in her mouth. And he waits for the woman's daughter and her boyfriend to come home. And his reign of terror basically continues. So, not a really complicated plot to this. It's like a lot of these early to mid, and in this case, late 80s films. This one was from 1988. Trauma put this one out. It wasn't a Trauma film per se, but Trauma would obtain some films and put them out under their moniker, right? So, um, we get a lot of gore courtesy of William Purcell, who worked on The Exorcist 3, and Mike Tristano, who worked on Evil Dead 2. Fangoria called this the most riveting splatter film since the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Although I wouldn't go that far, Luther the Geek is a fun little slice of late 80s slasher movie fare. And so I'm going to go ahead and give my rating on this real quick. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 4 Deadites out of 5. Not an absolutely off the wall, fantastic film that can't be missed, but still one worthy of a watch or two. And I must say, I have watched it more than a time or two. So, I wouldn't say to run right out and spend your hard earned money on it. Vinegar Syndrome did put it out a while back. I think Steve may have a copy of this as well. But if you can find a for free version of it, I'd say it's definitely worth a watch or two. All right. So, to continue, the second film I wanted to talk about is from this Pete Walker collection. It is a Pete Walker slasher, Schizo. Schizo is from 1976. It's as old as I am. It's 48 years old now. This one's a little longer than other films that I have seen of this type. But just looking at the films in this Pete Walker collection, House of Whipcord's 102 minutes. Die Screaming Marianne is 99 minutes. And The Comeback is 100 minutes. So, Schizo is the longest of this group of films. But I have always loved Schizo. I think it is a really good slasher film. And it does have a twist. which some of you may be able to figure out, may not be able to figure out. I did not figure it out the first time I saw it. So, what is schizo about? Not to be confused with schizoid, which is a Klaus Kinski joint. This is about a figure skater played by Lynn Frederick. Yes, that Lynn Frederick that used to be married to Peter Sellers. Okay. So she must protect herself against a homicidal stalker. Again, not a really complicated plot. The twist might be a little more complicated, but it's worth it. So just wait for that twist. Some creepy moments in this, some great gore, um, lots of slashing. Um, so Pete Walker was very, in my opinion, I love most everything that Pete Walker has put out, by the way. But in my opinion, as far as a director from the UK, I felt like Pete Walker was a master of this subgenre of horror films and the slasher film. I mean, he did other types of films like the Comeback, um, which is more of a supernatural type of film than it is a slasher film per se. So, but I really love Schizo. It's one that I would highly recommend. It's a decent slasher with a decent twist. And I'm going to go ahead and give this one 5 deadites out of 5, just because personally, I absolutely love um, this slasher from Pete Walker. And so, again, I highly recommend it, but I don't want you to go out and spend your hard earned money on it. Watch it for free version first if you can find it. I would check the usual suspects. I would check YouTube and Tubi and stuff like that to see if it is on there to watch. I think at one time it was on YouTube to watch for free. And so that is all from me today. But I want to thank everybody that was watching today. Didn't really have anybody chatting, but that's okay. That is not a problem. Just keep in mind that the next Terror Time Tea will be a pre recorded version of Terror Time Tea. And stay tuned for our Shelley Duvall tribute coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday Foolish. Candace and Chris are going to be joining me. Chris will more than likely not be able to stay on the whole time, but he will be on. And so I'm going to get out of here so I can prepare for that. But I want to say, as I always do, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic Friday and have a kick ass Friday, too, by the way. And I'll see everybody next time, hopefully at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye for now, folks.